Hello, my name is Steve Banks, and this is a brief introduction to the course I'm running on integral meditation, based on the groundbreaking book No Boundary by Ken Wilber, and also its twin, The Spectrum of Consciousness. These two books, written in the 1970s, were a revolution in our understanding of spirituality and psychology, and how those two domains fit together in a way that had never been understood before. Now, if Ken Wilber comes up in conversation, you quite often hear people say that they are interested in his work, but they find his books a bit inaccessible. And that is one of my main reasons for setting up this course, to make the understanding that Wilber sets out in these two books accessible. I have found it so illuminating and so helpful in my own meditation practice that I want to share that with others. The course is all about the practice of meditation. What is the aim of meditation, and how does it work? Because your practice is going to be a sharper tool to the extent that you have a really clear understanding of those two things. And I don't think you'll find a simpler, clearer understanding than the one Wilber sets out in No Boundary. So, meditation practice is a laboratory for exploring the question, who am I? However we answer that question, what we are essentially doing is drawing a boundary, like drawing a circle. What is inside the boundary I call I, and what is outside I call not I, or subject inside, objects outside. And the common experience we all have is of being an I somewhere in here, in my head or in my body-mind, looking out at the world which is experienced out there. The I in here and the world out there being somehow fundamentally separate. So the key to this question, who am I, lies in understanding the nature of this boundary between I and not I. And this is basically what this course is about. We will explore the nature of the I, not I boundary, and boundaries in general, through our experience in meditation. And the key thing we discover is simply that we have the feeling that the boundary separates. But when we examine it more closely in meditation, we see that this feeling of separation is really an illusion, one that we generate ourselves. There are lines in reality that distinguish one thing from another, but those lines are not boundaries. They join things, they don't separate. So there is a line that distinguishes the personal body-mind from the rest of the world, that's clear. But the feeling of separateness, the boundary that we normally experience, is an illusion. And for example, in meditation, one of the key things you do is you see thoughts, you experience thoughts, and the experiences of looking at thoughts or perceiving thoughts. So that clearly leads to the understanding that the thoughts then are an object. They're objects. Something, the subject, is perceiving thoughts, which is the object. So then, on which side of the I, not I boundary do thoughts lie? Obviously they can't lie on the inside, on the I side, because the I is perceiving the thoughts, which are objects. So that's an example, and a key one, of how meditation illuminates the nature of the I, not I boundary. And this all leads to a very straightforward understanding of what the mystical experience is, which is an experience of self, of I, with no boundary, which is the title of the book, without that illusion of separateness. The ego remains very much intact. It doesn't vanish in a mystical puff of smoke. Wilber points out in a later book that one of the most common mistakes in meditation practice is the idea that you have to somehow get rid of the ego. And indeed, that is one of the most common myths about spirituality in general. That's not the case at all. But in the mystical experience, the sense of I transcends and includes the ego, because our meditation enables us to experience the unity that appears when we see through this illusory sense of separateness. And indeed we see that that unity was there all along. It's there right now. It's not some far off, weird, strange thing. And that's one of the ironies and paradoxes about the mystical experience, that you realize it was there all along. So I hope you can see that it really isn't rocket science. Of course, the doing of it is another thing. We're so used to the conventional sense of I in here, world out there. It's a big shift in perspective to really experience the underlying unity. It takes practice, and a clear understanding is surely vital to that practice. And also I want to be clear, I'm not enlightened. I haven't had that mystical experience, but I do have many years of meditation, many years experience in meditation practice, and of listening to many teachers and reading and turning it all over and over in my mind. And the point is that I feel I understand so much better, so much more clearly what I'm doing when I meditate, with this understanding from Wilber of boundaries. My meditation is much sharper tool for cutting to the chase of what meditation practice is all about. And that's what I want to share on this course. So thank you for watching, and there's much more info on my website about the course. That's www.stevebanks.info. And if you have any questions, then by all means send me an email to steve@stevebanks.info.